Hey there, friends. So this is going to be a video of a little bit of philosophy on gardening, on healthy living, on being a human. I'm just going to speak as I garden. I'll tell you what my process is for what I'm doing, just to share. I'm not necessarily trying to teach anything. I'm not looking for advice. Although if you have some great thoughts about what I'm doing that I could do better, I welcome them as well. But I'm just sharing my time with you out here in the garden because it's peaceful and awesome, and I just thought, why not expand? This is how I spend my time. These days, a lot in the garden, so it's not making music. So even though my channel might be called John Henry Sheridan Music, that's just an essential point of who I am, but my life is a lot more than that. Okay, I got a couple of things here. So this, I'm putting in stuff to be composted. So you'll see what that might be. It could be, for now it's going to be greens and stems, mainly. Over here I have kind of cold water for things I'm harvesting to eat. I put that in the water so they don't, just like, to basically wilt away in the sun. Then I have this other little bucket that is for anything that has a disease or a bug infestation, because it's not wise to put that in compost because it might perpetuate the bugs or the disease. So this I'll be throwing in the regular garbage. I got to try to keep it not wet. You don't want to put wet stuff in the garbage if you can help it. Got a friendly wasp over here. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start doing this. I'm just going to talk about my life, these days and life in general. So I got some carrots here. How are you guys doing? What are your summer plans, if you have any? If you don't have any, what are your thoughts on the summer? I don't know. So I'm gonna pick a carrot here, not because it's ready, but because there were two carrots that were very close to each other. They're definitely not gonna grow into carrot size, so one has to be kind of sacrificed to make way for the other. Usually you do this when they're smaller. But anyway, this is what it looks like now. Still, everything on here is edible. So I will use these leaves, and I'll use this little carrot bit, throw it into like a stew or stir fry or something. I'll just eat it like that. And put that with the root down into the water. So my main thing here, harvesting in the garden every day is, okay, so that's compost, it's a weed. Harvesting in the garden every day is good if it's possible. Of course, not all casual gardeners can do that. I can't do it myself, but I do try to get out here often. Just helps move things along. Gardening is not just this one peak. It has kind of peak points, but it's just an ongoing way of life, basically. Sorry if my head's cut off a little bit, but I want you to be able to see the garden too, and if I put it too high you can't see so much. Anyway, here's another carrot. I'll be using the greens. Carrot greens are tasty, but I have to admit, they really get caught in my teeth, probably in anyone's teeth. So that's a bit of a nuisance. I don't know how to get around that. So there was like a cluster of 4 carrots here. I'm just pulling them up and leaving the biggest one to potentially grow. But like I said, we'll be eating these greens, so there's nothing wasted. And I'm kind of glad I let it grow big, so the greens are more substantial. All right, so I have 1, 2, maybe 3 kind of big sized carrots I'm gonna leave. This one here, it's just not looking great, so I'm gonna pull it. It wasn't in the way of anything, but I'm clearing the way here to put tomatoes, at least one tomato. Yeah, probably one, because I grew a lot of tomatoes from seed. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants like this over here, and I've already planted maybe 6 tomatoes in the yard here. So I have 5 more. Tomatoes are hard for me to give away this year. My neighbors don't want them. My mom's house is only limited. My mom's garden, limited space. Anyway, carrying on with the carrots. There are 2 here I'm gonna pull up. Now, keeping carrots there when the tomatoes growing, probably be okay because the tomatoes are gonna take time to get big. So the carrots will have at least 30 days more to get larger. And now that I'm clearing out these competing carrots, and I'm also going to take this Swiss chard away and maybe move these sorrel plants. There's going to be more sun for the carrots to grow, and I'll see them, so I'll pay attention to them a little more. All right, so I got another 2 that I've kind of salvaged here, meaning salvaged by way of taking away the competing carrots. So here's some compost. Okay, I got something that looks like a Swiss chard or a spinach. They look similar. I'm guessing it's Swiss chard. So I have 1, 2, 3 Swiss chard plants. These are the Swiss chards that, I'm sorry, sorrel. These are the sorrels that have grown pretty mighty and big, and definitely, look at this. Very tasty. Surprisingly, they don't really have pest problems that I've noticed. Pretty amazing. So I'm putting those in the water for us to eat. These are very good to eat just the way they are. Let me demonstrate to prove it. Smaller one. Man, it has like a slightly savory citrus flavor. It's really, really kind of cool. Yes, that's sorrel. This is Swiss chard, and it's not what Swiss chard generally looks like. It's because I've let it grow beyond. It's grown to seed, so it starts to get a different shape. This plant was planted probably past October or something, so it's had a pretty long life. Now I'm just plucking any leaves that seem like we could eat them, putting those in the water, keep them kind of fresh. Then I'll compost. So these will have these kind of like silvery spots on the back, which are insect eggs. So you could just kind of scratch them off. You know, I basically go by no-kill policy to the best of my ability, but my reasoning is that these plants wouldn't be here at all if I didn't plant them. So I have a right to kind of harvest them the way I do, and they have a right to live on them as much as they can. And we just kind of make do with our shared space. So I'm giving them a place to live, at least temporarily, and I try not to kill a bug when I pull it off. I just eggs, you know, I don't know how to not kill eggs, but bugs I try to kind of flick them off gently or to the best I can. You know, you don't want a bug problem, but I also think going to war with bugs or quote unquote pests is a problem in itself that I definitely want to avoid. So this is how I do it. This very slow harvesting method. But you know, already I've got quite a bit of greens in here. This will definitely, as I continue harvesting, this will definitely be more than enough greens for my family for a few days. You know, and you save at the supermarket for sure, because if you want to eat healthy, eating greens is an important component of that. So here I'm just ripping off the part that has the bug evidence of being eaten by a bug. Just this very slow process, and then I end up harvesting a lot, eating it, which helps my health, my body, and you know, puts me closer in touch with nature. And you know, I like to be part of the process of the food I eat. You know, I can't at the moment be a part of harvesting the apples that I eat, and you know, once a year we go apple picking, but the berries and the tons of fruit and grains and stuff that I eat, you know, I'm not a part of that process so much, except that I clean it and cut it. But with the greens, everything you see in this garden right now, I don't know how much you can see. I'll expose more of my garden in videos to come, but everything in my garden this year has been planted from seed. We have one tomato and one pepper that Yoko special ordered from a Japanese place. So besides those two, and maybe some flowers that I planted as transplants years ago that have survived, and I saved them. The vast majority, I would say 95% of what's back here, I did from seed, which is pretty cool. Something I've always wanted to be able to say I did, and now I can. It's not to brag, it's just to tell you how I've evolved. You know, I don't think it's, I prefer it for my own life. I don't think I'm better than anyone for doing it, but I'm glad that I achieved this thing that was important to me, you know? It's rewarding. So I was thinking about food, you know, and how one thing gardening has taught me is that growing food is not easy. Not easy. So when we go to the supermarket and we just see all these things ready to go, we somehow think it's just easy and natural because that's what we see and that's what the average consumer expects and takes for granted. But there's nothing easy about the growing process from my perspective of trying it. And having all farm equipment and space and experience, I mean, it could be on the easy side, I guess, if you're using a lot of chemicals and hacks and stuff, but then it can't feel good in your soul to be doing that. So that's being composted. Just trying to simplify it. Before I just rip it up, just trying to keep all the small leaves are worth saving. I know I'm going, this is what it's like to hang out with me if you're just being quiet and just listening. This is what you would get. The small leaves are worth saving because I just chop it all up anyway and put it in a stew or a pot or stir fry or salad. Just nibble at it. Don't have to be these gargantuan leaves that you see at a farmer's market or a supermarket. That's fine too, but these small leaves have different flavor, you know, more tender of course, and they still have all the vitamins, phytonutrients, all the good stuff. Just tucking that into the water, making sure it's under. All right, this is going to be coming up very soon. It's also my way of saying goodbye to this worthy Swiss chard plant, you know, that's been grown here for months and months and months. I'm not sure where I originally planted it. It might have been somewhere else. I do transplant things a lot with my limited space. You know, I just kind of look at what's available, look what can be moved, what needs to go where, you know, that type of thing. Yeah, so we just recently started a composting. Our neighbor gave us a composter, tumbler. I'll do a video on that at some point. And it's pretty amazing. We have tons of food scrap because we eat so much fruit and grains and vegetables. So every day we have something to contribute. I don't put it in every day. I save it, and every few days put something in. I don't want to fill it so fast, because once it's filled, it's just going to cook, meaning sit there and mix until it becomes compost, which will take at least 2 months, I think, for a proper compost. So it could be, you could have some sort of results sooner. You could definitely let it sit longer. But so I started about June 1st. I'm hoping there might be something August 1st, or definitely by September 1st, have some compost, homemade compost to work with. I've done store-bought, certainly better than not doing it, but it's hard to find a good one, store-bought compost here in Brooklyn, and it's been an issue. Like, it's just definitely, all signs have been pointing towards, John, learn to create your own compost, especially since I have so much food scraps, and you know, you need a browns to greens ratio. So food scraps are greens, and leaves and plant life. But then the browns could be paper, could be cardboard, could certainly be any dry plant life, like dry leaves and things like that. So these things are around me, so why not make my own compost if I can? It was daunting because of the limited garden space, but I'm glad I started. So I'm going to keep going. If you want to hang out for a little bit more with me, this is my CGM, continuous glucose monitor. So it tells me where my blood sugar level is at all times. Pretty neat, definitely helpful. I'm a type 1 diabetic. So that's another big part of why I do this, because, you know, I've had tired eyes, I've had ongoing gum and teeth issues that are related to my past lifestyle, maybe genes, but also direct relation to diabetes. And all my research, all my life experience has been pointing towards eat more greens, eat more whole foods. I love gardening anyway. And be at peace as much as you can. Follow your bliss. Be in tune with nature. So all signs have just been pointing towards this type of a lifestyle. And I think this is where the future is going anyway. You can only speed up and go crazy so much before you have to slow down and kind of go back to nature. So I've sped up enough in my life to know that I don't really like speeding up that much. Oh, look at this guy. This is a Gymungoid sorrel leaf. It's pretty big. You have to chew on that one for a while. Yeah, this feels good to do because now I'm gonna have plenty of greens to eat, cook, work with, feel like I've really made use of my garden. It's not even technically summer yet, and I've been harvesting a lot. Here's a side note. Here's Greek oregano, which I took from the mother plant. I just kind of ripped the stem off. It's not as fragrant as the mother plant, I guess, but I just ripped the stem off and planted it a couple weeks ago, and you know, I don't know if it's just surviving or if it's going to grow into a new plant. It looks like it's going to grow into a new plant, so it's just an experiment, a way to get more, I don't want to say bang for your buck, but for whatever resources I do have in the garden, how can I create more, I don't know, product with it, or more food, you know, without spending more money on new plants. How can I use what I already have? It's all part of being eco-friendly and being sustainable. When I was in Brazil, 2010, I had a big garden. I was a humanitarian volunteer. There was a big garden that we had. There was ours to control, or to, you know, to use as we wished for the time being. But even with all that space, there was no running water, and the sun was so hot, and there was no easy access to a Lowe's or a Home Depot. So I couldn't really do anything with it. It was pretty sad, except bury garbage, light fires of burnable stuff, because there was really no garbage pickup at that time. And there was some like fruit trees that were growing. That worked because you know, those roots go down deep, so water could be beneath the surface. But green things like this, I don't know, unless you have really some sophistication and know-how of that land, that area, it would be super difficult to grow things like this. So I really appreciate having the access to grow food like this here, right here in New York City. I'm in Brooklyn, South Brooklyn. But technically New York City, part of it. Not sure what to do about these big sorrel plants, because if I put the tomato here, I will have time to move this. I don't have to move the sorrel today, because the tomato is only about that big. But I don't want things to crowd out the tomato either. Yeah, gardening life. Okay, so I see a carrot here. I just don't think it's gonna do very well, so I'm gonna take it up. See, I just sowed a bunch of seeds in March and April that were sowable at that time, such as carrots and radishes and things, and you know, I thought maybe it would, you know, be maybe they would do well. Some of these, they're doing well, but since with my limited space, I put a lot close together, so they don't get full sun, they don't get full attention. So a lot of it's experimentation, you know, what can I say? So I'm also going to, can you see these? Yeah, I'm gonna cut some of these leaves. These are peas, yeah, sugar snap peas, which are finally getting some sugar snaps. Let me show you one. And with fruits and vegetables that you grow, it's good to harvest frequently, so that encourages more growth. If you let too much come at once, then it kind of might signal to the plant that that stage, the fruiting stage, is over, and that it's time to just wrap up and do seeding stage, which means you're gonna, plant will go to seed, the fruits will no longer be produced, and then you kind of missing out on probably the most joyful part of your experience, which is harvesting the fruits of vegetables. Sugar snap pea. It's got flavor. All right, so I'm not gonna run past 30 minutes too much, so what else do I have to share with you? So my hesitation with making videos is, yeah, I know, I gotta get out of the sun, is this, like, I want to harvest, I want to do the gardening, I want to share it, but I don't want to go and sit inside for 2 hours and edit things and then post, and then if it doesn't post right, I get a headache because I'm annoyed that I spent all this time and it's not working. You know, we don't necessarily have the newest, fanciest technology to work with. And I just don't want to be indoors and on the computer a lot. So that's my hesitation to share, and I don't want to be editing. But I feel like I have so much to share. So I'm just gonna do my style. For whoever it appeals to, it appeals to. If you're still watching, I guess it appeals to you. Thank you. This is parsley over here. I don't know if you can see it. Show it to you. Very lovely. Has that kind of a little bit similar to celery. Definitely parsley. So fresh. It just gives you this feeling of this is what fresh is. Man, that's pretty tasty. All right, so I'm just gonna keep this sorrel plant low so it doesn't compete with the tomato. I let it grow because it's just so well rooted here. I don't have another container that I can think of to switch it to. But maybe eventually I'll switch it or just pull it up if it's going to seed or whatever. Sorrel was a big success. I tried something called Claytonia. It was successful enough. It took a long time to get started, but I just didn't like the flavor as much. But this sorrel, it's great flavor. It's pretty resistant to pests, or maybe the pests just don't expect to find sorrel here, so they don't come looking. Most people don't even know what sorrel is around here in terms of gardening or eating. I know in Caribbean it's a thing, but the pictures I've seen don't look like what I have in my yard. Right, it's like sorrel soda in the Caribbean or something. Yeah. So this is also how I've lived my life as an artist. I just kind of create things and then share them or sort of harvest them, go find all the creations I did and then release them as an album or as a package or as a book, and then just move on. I mean, what else is there to do? I'm not, let's put it this way, I don't want to limit myself by saying I'm this, I'm not that. I don't strongly identify with the concept of selling. I just don't strongly identify with it. Do I have a money block? Do I not? I have no idea. But I'm 42 and I'm not against selling, but it does not appeal to me to try and sell. I'd much rather create, I'd much rather enjoy, I'd much rather play, exercise, share, have fun, laugh. I'd much rather do that. And I can. So if I would be selling so I can be in a position so I could do the things I want to do, create, laugh, joy, play, share, okay, but I can do that without selling as a means to that. So I just skipped the whole. I have things for sale. You could buy my books, you could stream my music, Maybe one day I'll put out online videos, teaching videos or something. So I'm not against anything per se. I just don't, like I said, it doesn't resonate with me strongly. And if you want to buy my books, John Henry Sheridan is my name, and you can find me on Amazon. I have a website too, but not updating it so much these days because I don't have a clear game plan with it. It's more, I don't even know what it is. Who knows? But this sorrel plant's looking good. Very good. And a lot of good leaves. So I like to kind of harvest things or clip. I want to say edit, or I forget the word. What's the gardening word for edit? Whatever. Reduce it to a nice shape and get rid of the dead parts, and then get it to a shape where it looks like something I understand, or it looks like something I could work with, right? Because sometimes plants get so big that you can't see part of it, and then you don't completely know the health of the plant, or what it's hiding, or what it needs, or what it might be crowding out, like another plant underneath it that might be dying because one plant is too big. So that's what these slow and steady harvesting times are great for, to kind of see the state of your garden, what it can be, what it could benefit from, see its potential, truly thank it for everything it's given you, and then make these patches like, okay, here's the sorrel plant, here's the sorrel plant, here's the sorrel plant, here's the parsley, here's the carrots. Now I see what's here. I only had a vague idea of what was here before, because I it was my experimental planting place for a while, or put stuff place, because it's the biggest box I have, this over here. But now I could see, as the season's changing, I could see what could stay, what could go. Like, I'm only going to keep the carrots on the edges. The ones in the middle I'm going to take up, because it's just easier to think with a certain simple game plan. Now I got a spot for a tomato right here. So this guy is gonna go right there. Okay, so it's 33 minutes. Gonna end it here. Cheers.